everyone, and welcome to the Martech Podcast, where we bring you the latest trends and insights in marketing technology. I'm your host, Sudesh, and today we're excited to have Scott Sutton, CEO of Later, with us. Scott is here to share his insights on how Later is transforming the way brands manage and grow their social media presence with innovative tools and strategies. So, without further ado, let's dive in. Hey, Scott, how are you doing today?
Amazing. It's a great Friday. Excited for the conversation. Always excited to talk about the future of marketing.
Likewise, Scott, we're excited as well. So to begin with, I was just looking at your career path. It's been a distinct career path for you where you have done multiple hats, right? Could you help us with a glimpse of your journey?
Yeah, sure. I started off in supply chain and really wanted to understand how businesses operated. I've been very entrepreneurial since I was growing up. And my big goal was to really understand companies and the inner workings. And so every step in my career was kind of saying yes to a unique opportunity to solve a challenge, dive in where others might not want to dive in, and to expose myself to other areas of the business. So at Daimler, for instance, the car company that owns Mercedes, I was in supply chain. I got sent to a factory in Mexico to do a lean consulting project and was on the factory floor, and led purchasing, led financing, controlling, data analytics, and just really tried to immerse myself in the business. Then got the opportunity to join ZoomInfo, where immediately dove in at the time that Discover Org was acquiring ZoomInfo and help lead the integration from the Discover Org side. And then had a whole host of roles: Chief Business Officer, CMO, VP of RevOps, and just watched that business grow from 450 people to about 4,000 through the IPO, the pandemic, lots and lots of changes and growth. But just really wanted to help make a difference in the organization and help be a part of that journey store of growth. And I'm part of their story. So that's what my goal has been. And it's been a wild ride, been full of interesting learnings, challenges, growth. We're really thankful for all the different parts of the journey.
That's great to know. It's pretty much like seen that, been there, done that kind of profile, right?
I don't know about all that, but I've tested the waters.
So
I'm a big fan of that early steep learning curve part.
coming to your current company, Scott, why the name Leader?
Yeah, it's funny, it's part of our history. So Later was originally founded as Latergram. And when Instagram was founded, there was no way to schedule posts in the future. And so you had to be sitting at your phone and actually grabbing the image, scheduling the post to go off in that moment, typing in the caption that you wanted. And for social media managers who wanted to actually plan out a calendar of posts, posting every day, they couldn't, they would have to show up, schedule, and every single day they would have to post. And that's a pretty arduous task. So what Latergram allowed them to do was schedule all their posts out in a calendar view, manage their entire social media. And it really was a big time and efficiency saver for social media managers.
That's pretty justified in that case. How can we expect from Leader's upcoming platform announcements, particularly regarding the new AI-enabled offerings?
Yeah, we're really, really excited about where things are progressing. So, about 2 years ago, Later came together with a company called Maverick, who is a leader in the influencer marketing software and services space. And really, the goal and the vision was to provide an entire suite of offerings to social media managers, brand managers looking to grow and manage their brands. So, Later has evolved a lot from that initial scheduling tool. We have AI caption writing, the best hashtags to use. We have analytics around best time to post. And some of the cool technology we just announced was our first entry into the social listening space, where you can follow key hashtags, key trends, brand mentions, see sentiment powered by our proprietary AI tools, word clouds of the most trending topics, and start to monitor and manage the discussion around your business. What we've found is our solution is a lot easier to use, more user friendly, and it's more performance oriented. So if I'm a marketer looking to drive performance for my business, it helps you hop on trends, understand what's happening in the business, and respond very quickly to them.
That's amazing. Now, coming back to again your career path at ZoomInfo, what did you experience growing ZoomInfo nearly 6x through acquisitions, leading it to an IPO, prepare you for the role at Latter?
Yeah. So, when I joined Discover Org at the time, which became ZoomInfo, it was a smaller company, 450 people, 150 million in ARR. And at that stage of growth, most things are not yet figured out, and everyone is wearing multiple hats, and it really becomes a resource planning and organization game. How can we align the few resources that we have to get as much done as possible? And in the case of both ZoomInfo and later, there's an immense market opportunity. There's a lot to run at. And so you have to be very focused. You could go try to build every solution and optimize every process. And so what that really requires is focus. And so, I spent a lot of my time developing the right focus, the right prioritization, bringing on resources, and having a very resource constrained plan to grow, and then making strategic bets and strategic investments on the next areas of growth, whether that be M&A and inorganic growth, or making investment cases with the board of directors and or investors to deploy more capital. But it really is that kind of resource constrained growth plan, the process optimization through the various stages of the journey.
How about your time at Daimler? What lessons from your time at Daimler focusing on supply chain and digital transformation are you applying to your leadership at later?
Yeah, I feel like Daimler gave me two main things. And Daimler is an incredibly regimented company, 150-year-old German company, 300 plus thousand people, just really amazing in their process rigor and professionalism. And so I learned how a professional company operates. And I think the other piece I took away, especially from supply chain and teaching supply chain, I actually think about revenue, marketing, and driving sales as a factory. And all of the principles of supply chain can actually be applied to the funnel. So if you think about you have raw materials, there's a quality of those raw materials. There's then a first pass quality rate when you go to process them. So let's say you have leads coming in, the SDRs are calling them. You have conversion rate, you have meeting set, meeting completion, meeting no show, opportunity creation, closure rate, time to close. All of those statistics, that entire funnel, if you think about it like a factory, all the same principles apply. And you have queuing theory and theory of constraints. Where are the bottlenecks in your process? You have to have single piece flow and high quality. All of these same type of principles I've been applying in business. And it's actually super, super useful for understanding how to and how to resource a business appropriately.
Got it. And from the past to the current platform again, that is later, how will these new features connect social media and influencer marketing to performance marketing?
Yeah. So when I think about the challenges required to leverage social media to grow a business, there's a few different aspects. One is your owned and created social content. So you need to create content for your brand. You need then to schedule it and to publish it, to house that, and then interact with the community that you've built. And then down the line, you might directly convert via e-commerce. You then need analytics to understand that. That also then applies to influencers. It's just a different person that's then creating the content. But you have to, again, publish and schedule, create the content, drive conversion optimization. And then there's also this lane of UGC, so user generated content. In that case, the content has already been created by a user. You then want to grab that content, license it for use, and or respond and engage with that content. You can also leverage that to drive advertising, to drive commerce and measurement. And so what we want to do is optimize the entire flow of managing both the own flow, the IGC flow, the UGC flow, and all of the different optimization of scheduling, publishing, conversion optimization, reporting, and analytics across all of those different lanes.
Well, it's a pretty evident fact that later is around this next phase of growth and innovation. So, what are your key priorities around this phase?
Yeah. So when I look at the market right now, and when I discuss the future of social media and marketing with CMOs, we really hear two key themes. One is around driving performance and providing transparency. And so when I think about what that means for a marketer, it's ensuring that the dollars that I'm spending via social media across the various different ways I could spend it are driving the highest returns by a variety of measures. So it might be CPM, so cost per thousand views. It might be CPE, cost per engagement, or it could be ROAS. And when you look at traditional media channels, social and influencer in particular, is beating those metrics by huge margins. And so what we're trying to do is optimize those metrics for the CMOs we work with and provide them transparency into that performance. And then across all of the different areas of social, we're trying to drive improved efficiency and conversion rate. The other thing that we're hearing is around tool consolidation and kind of tool overload. If you look at the social space, there are 18 solutions for everything. There's caption writers, schedulers, affiliate and conversion optimization and link tracking. And there's just so many different things out there. And I think what people are really craving is more integrated solutions that are easier to use, that drive performance, and allow their team to be efficient with the spend and the time that they use investing their time in these tools. So we're trying to capitalize on both these trends by having a fully integrated suite of technology and tools at a reasonable price and then driving top line performance.
It's very interesting. Now, in what ways is later positioning itself to stay ahead in the landscape of digital marketing technology?
Yeah, so I think it is looking at with the performance lens, there's so many things we could solve. And there's so many different tools that are aiming to solve jobs to be done and problems in the social landscape. And so when I evaluate tools and solutions and thinking about our product roadmap and our services roadmap, I come back to that focus on performance and efficiency. So there are many things I could go solve, but if they don't ultimately drive increased performance or increased efficiency for our clientele, then I'm not probably going to invest in that. And so what that looks like is what can I do to drive better CPE, CPM, ROAS, and improve those or provide better transparency? Or where can I take huge steps out of the process that then allow us to deploy resources in a more efficient way in the business? So that's really where I'm at. And what we're aiming at is a consolidated social revenue platform, which is this integrated solution that solves all the jobs to be done in performance social.
Now, coming back to social media, coming back to influencer marketing, right? It's pretty heavy. I mean, everyone's aware of about that. Social media and influencer marketing is pretty heavy right now, but it's a very cluttered thing because there are so many options available. There are so many mediums available. So, I want to understand as a marketeer or as a person who's looking into marketing, what exactly I can do, what exactly I can do to probably, sure that I come out of, everyone's who's doing pretty much the same thing. I kind of come out of it. I position myself differently. What do you think we could probably someone from a social media standpoint and an influencer marketing standpoint could do in this scenario?
I think the approach that I'm taking and what I would encourage marketers to focus on when they're making selections around agencies, tools, and vendors is to focus on those that truly drive performance and have data to back up that performance. And so when I look at solutions in the space and in that cluttered landscape, there are a lot of people who tout, I have 15 million people in my index. I have this feature or that feature. And when you start to press them on, show me the results and the outcomes of these campaigns and the performance that your clients are getting, I think that is where the clear differentiation starts to happen. And um, what we see is there's a spectrum of the market, especially an influencer. There's the pure human based agency with no technology and software. And that has the ability to be very, very bespoke to your needs, but it's also very inefficient because everything is a one off and they're not leveraging technology, software, and efficiency to drive their process. On the other end is you have completely software only solutions that really don't address the complete need of serving your business with a really well functioning, high performing product. And so what we've aimed at is a really rich and robust software that focuses on performance. All of our clients get access to some amount of what we call core services to help them and educate them and bring them up to speed in their influencer journey with a focus on driving performance. And then we also do this software enabled, fully managed service type agency work where we can run campaigns, but also provide deep transparency. So I think when I'm looking at a provider, at the end of the day, are they going to provide me the tools, the transparency, the services that will ultimately drive top performance? That's how I, as a purchaser, look at things. And it's also how I, as now CEO of Later, am building the product and services to make our client successful. And I think those who make our client, whoever makes their client very successful and drives top performance will be the one that wins and wins at scale.
Got it. And with so many innovations around social media and influencer marketing, we've actually seen so many innovations out there. But What do you think the future beholds for social media influencer marketing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an ever evolving landscape. I think there's a few trends in 2025 that I'm looking forward to. I think commerce is going to be one of the largest continued trends in the space. How do we drive conversion from social? There's been a lot of influencer was about brand and awareness, and I think that's still important. But so many people now are focused on how do I do commerce, and you'll see a lot of focus in that area. I think the other area that's going to be really, really interesting, and we're working with some of the leadership at companies like LinkedIn, they're trying to emulate some of the features and functionality of TikTok, of Instagram, and drive more engagement, and then also drive B2B influencing. And we're really excited to see more in the B2B space. More professionals are on social media. This podcast will be out on social media. People are engaging and they want to hear and see about things relevant to their career and engage. And they haven't really had that opportunity with the formatting in a lot of the social networks geared at professionals. So really, really excited to see what happens in B2B influencing.
Perfect. My last question is pretty much of a generic one, but I guess it's for Scott, the CEO. It's pretty much about sales and marketing. It's a known fact that sales and marketing need to be aligned with each other to make sure that the company runs well and is productive, right? But at the same time, do you think is it currently happening? What's your stance on it? What can we do much better to make sure they are aligned perfectly well?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, as a leader, it's about driving alignment across the entirety of your business and your leadership team. And when I think about our business, we are coming together across engineering, product, sales, and marketing, and having a unified point of view on what products should we launch. We're getting feedback from the customer organization, feeding that back into product roadmap to better understand what's happening with our customers. Engineers are taking more of a stake in what's happening with our customers. Sales is also giving that feedback. And then when we go to market, we're tightly coupled and we all know what products are launching. Marketing is working on messaging and launch planning, campaigns and communication. Sales is training and enabling the sales team to go out and sell that. We have dedicated sellers for new product. We have dedicated lead routing and demo routing, opportunity management and support. And I think it's that systemic thinking. We talked about Daimler and supply chain. When you build a factory, you want to launch a new vehicle, you don't just randomly throw people out on the floor. You have designs, you have raw materials, you have machinery, you have to train staff who are dedicated and understand how to build that. You need quality assurance who knows what good looks like. In the field, you need training for your folks who are going to repair and service those vehicles. The sales dealerships need to know how to be able to talk about those vehicles. Marketing needs to print collateral, provide pricing. So just like we would launch a new vehicle at Daimler, when we go to launch a new product, I'm thinking about it in that same way as how do I provide and prepare the system to go out and generate value for our business by generating value for our clients. And I think that's what a lot of CEOs I think could spend more time on is that systemic understanding and thinking of when they go to launch new products or when they go to increase the size of a certain channel, do they have all of the pieces in play and all of the buy-in and support across the organization to make it a success?
Perfect. Well, again, wonderful insights. And I love the fact how you tied back again to your own experience and your own journey in terms of explaining those things. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to ask for today. I guess those were some amazing insights, Scott. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of budding CEOs and founders out there who can take a lot from your journey. And thank you for sharing all these wonderful insights. It's been, fantastic having you on our podcast, Martech Edge. Right. So thank you for joining us today as well. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review. And don't forget to check out later, where Scott and his team redefining social media management with a powerful platform designed to help brands succeed online. Stay tuned with Martech Edge for more insights into the ever-changing world of marketing technology. Until next time, this is your host, Sidesh, signing off.